Coming to you live from somewhere in Australia, it's the Film Roast Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to the Film Roast Podcast. I'm Jordan.
I'm Scotty.
He is, and he was very loud just then. I'm so sorry to everybody that was listening just then. I got their ears blown out, ears pierced, because my last name is, that's good.
Yeah.
Today, welcome to our podcast, I guess, everybody.
We did decide to do a passion podcast today.
Yes, but before we do that, who was our trivia question from last week, Scotty?
The answer was, drum roll please,
Ding.
the late and great Peter Fonda.
Yes, Peter Fonda. If you're unaware, Peter Fonda passed away 2 weeks ago now. He was, it's hard because, that's the only film I've really seen him in.
Easy Rider?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I know there's other stuff he was in, but that's the one he's best known for.
The last 15 years, I feel like he kind of just faded out a little bit, which is
a lot of people
unfortunate.
do. Other people rise up. So
Yeah. But yeah, so there you go. That was our trivia question from last week.
We're doing Chef.
We are doing Chef.
My name is Chef.
I should have stopped you when I had the chance. That's horrible.
Yes, you should have.
Fair warning, this podcast does talk about graphic pornography.
Of the most foodie variety.
So if you're not prepared to be excited by delicious food being cooked over every different type of I guess implement.
Okay, we're going there. Remember, you can follow us on Instagram,
yes,
Facebook. We are on Podbean, Spotify, SoundCloud,
iTunes.
That's the one.
Apple Podcasts, iTunes, whatever.
We might come back to YouTube in the future. Stay on.
Yeah. We recently got some feedback from people that they love us on YouTube, which was unexpected.
Well, people
but
like
welcome.
YouTube.
I'm more than happy to put some more episodes back up on YouTube.
Yay!
Without further ado, let's
get cooking.
Let's get cooking. I was about to say that. Damn it!
Took the words right out of my mouth.
All right, here we are.
Chilly. I'm
chilly.
cold.
It is pretty cold here in on the Central Coast.
And in Sydney and New South Wales in general.
Just New South Wales.
Which is a state of Australia.
We have been hit with a bit of a cold streak recently. Mm-hmm. And by recently, I mean the last 2-3 days. It was actually really warm over the weekend.
Yeah, no, Mondays when it happened.
Yeah.
It just kind of happened out of nowhere.
Excuse me, I have a cup of water with me.
A cup of water?
And we have a new setup on the desk. Obviously, you guys at home can't see this.
Visualize it in your mind.
Yes, we have a new desk. I have a new desk. It was really cheap. I bought it off eBay. But it's really nice. It's really nice.
It's nice and functional.
Yes, it is functional. There is another piece to it that is supposed to go over there on that side of the desk there.
He's pointing at a location closer to me.
And it's got a shelf thing, but the screws that were provided to me weren't long enough to actually fit it on.
So you could say you were not screwed.
Yes. I was de-screwed, and that screwed me over.
We'll have to re-screw you.
Also, another thing that I'm really happy about is because the last couple of years I have been playing basketball again, which has been fun, but it's also brought injuries
It does that,
to
doesn't
me.
it?
Yes. And so what happened was I dislocated my ring finger a couple of times.
Ouch.
Which was quite painful. And it brought a lot of swelling. So I had to, before I played basketball, I removed my ring before every single game just in case something like this would happen. And I would need to get it like cut off or something if I needed to go to the hospital. Not the finger, the ring.
I don't care about your finger. I'm care about the ring.
Hey. But so I would take it off. And recently I went to the jewelers and we got it resized.
Nice.
And I got it back and it fits nicely, even though my finger is still swollen.
Snug as a bug on a rug.
It probably will be swollen for the rest of my life, I think. It's one of those things. But I'm glad I have my ring back and I'm glad I'm wearing it. Also, shout out to my wonderful wife. She's wonderful. She's beautiful. Her name is Emily and she's amazing. Today, we watched a really great film about family, actually, called Chef.
Not the Fast and Furious.
No, not the Fast and... No, definitely not Fast and Furious. This film actually has more family in it, I feel, than all of the Fast and Furious films
sexier
combined.
cars. Ooh, food trucks.
Yes, and food trucks. I mean, I would take a food truck over like a Chevrolet or a Camaro any day of the week. Just because there's food in it.
Yeah. Okay.
For no other reason.
It's like, you could drive this ice cream truck or this tank. I take the ice cream truck.
I'll take the ice cream. You can go on a whole like trip and not have to stop for food.
Plus, you get to wake everyone up. I actually wake everyone up in a tank as well.
But Chef is, I mean, how would you describe Chef, Scotty?
Food porn.
Food porn, the movie. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I mean, it's more than that, but I think when I describe Chef to someone, it's like,
yeah,
it is food porn, the movie.
And, well, this film is about a chef called Carl Casper, and he's a main chef, head chef of this well-to-do restaurant. And things are, he's kind of gotten himself in a rut. And this food critic is visiting, and his ruttiness, or his like, basic food that he always makes, that he's been told by his boss to make, kind of gets him into a little bit of hot water with this critic. And so this whole thing just changes his life, and he decides to actually just follow his dream, what he really wanted to do to begin with.
Well, I don't know. I don't think he wanted to do the food truck.
Well, here's the thing.
He didn't know he wanted to do it until he did it.
Yeah. Well, actually, no, I disagree.
Oh, okay.
This is one of those things that people around you know you better than you know yourself.
Yes, I agree with that, but I don't think he realized it.
I think the reason why that is, though, is because just like being in a rut, you kind of ignore the signs around you that you need to kind of get moving. That's how you get into a rut to begin with.
I think this film does a good job at showing circumstances and how they happen naturally in progress.
But also the relationships.
And also the relationships, but more on the, let's start with the food truck issue. He was in a bad place in his life before the fiasco.
Yes.
Everyone around him is saying he's not actually happy. And the reason is he's working himself to the bone for his passion, but he's not getting his passion out of it anymore.
Yes. Yeah.
Because he's not using his creativity, he's not fully expressing himself in his work.
And that's also caused a wedge between him and his family, I feel.
I think it might be the work.
Before the film starts.
I think it's the work as much as it is the family. I mean, as the lack of passion. But I think, that's happened. And
we follow this this guy who is played by Jon Favreau, who, by the way, also wrote and directs this movie. And we
even Tom Cruise can't do that.
Well, has Tom Cruise ever directed? I think he has.
Has he ever directed and written it as well?
I think he's directed a film. I don't think he's written one. Or maybe if he has, I don't think he's had anything to do. Yeah. Was it Travolta though, or was it Scientology undergrads who are like,
what's the difference?
That's true. That is very true. But this movie is fantastic. I feel like
I think it's aged well too.
Third time. Yes, I think this is the third time I've seen it, and it just makes me happy.
It's a film about passion and passion coming to fruition, and also about the hard work that's done to create this passion.
Yeah,
which I think is something that a lot of people don't realize, and don't enjoy.
Yeah,
I mean, how many people our age or younger than us, when they hear hard work, it's a turn off. Like, we've got it almost programmed into our biology at this stage where it's like hard work equals bad, Well, no, hard work for something you love is actually really good.
I actually disagree. I think a lot of people see hard work and they do hard work, but a lot of people tend to disassociate passion with hard work.
Yes.
I feel like there's a big brick wall between passion and hard work. And when you are in school, you are taught to do the hard work and get the results.
Yeah.
Like the reward for your
Yeah.
hard work. But that hard work is never really associated with your passion.
No.
Because a lot of people's passions, especially when they're younger, unless it's like a fireman or a police officer or, you know, something
I know people
that,
who love maths.
but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
I do,
something
don't
is part of the structure of society. So like science falls into that.
Yeah.
If it's not any of those things, then you are generally pushed away from your passion towards those things. And you often just pick up the next best thing, which is really, it's depressing.
Well, I have a friend, and we recently got into modeling again. Games Workshop, you're a horrible, horrible addiction. Anyway,
Expensive addiction.
expensive.
But you got a job now, so you can afford it.
I can, but at the same time, the modeling process. First of all, they do make fantastic models, and they make them out of finely good materials.
But then they ask you to do naked shoots, and people get a little bit too close, and it's really awkward.
Yeah, I just roll with it. Anyway, but these modeling, great materials. The process of making something.
Oh, you're talking about...
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes. And you knew it the whole time. The process of making something is a great release.
Yes.
And it's hard work doing it. But what you get out of it for you physically, emotionally, and mentally is very good.
Yeah. Yeah. And this film kind of spoke to me. Like the first time around, I loved it just because of the relationships.
Yep.
But the last two times I picked up on something a little bit more, and it's been, I think you can apply this personally to whatever passion you have as an individual while watching this film.
And there's several passions that I think they're deliberately parallel to. But
yes.
Yep.
And one of them is my passion, which is filmmaking.
Yeah.
In this film, we have Dustin Hoffman playing the head of, the owner of
Mr.
the restaurant.
Producer.
And yeah, he is Mr. Producer in Hollywood. He is the, I want it done this way because this is the most popular thing and people pay to get this general menu.
He's Katzenberg.
He's Katzenberg. He's also Steven Spielberg in a way, I feel, because Steven Spielberg does that a lot as a producer. There's like almost a set criteria. And a lot of the time it works. Like a lot of the time it's really good.
Oh, good producers are positive influences, not negative ones.
And I feel like Dustin Hoffman's character in this is one of those positive producers. He's not a negative one.
Yes, I think what happens in the circumstance isn't anyone's fault really, because they all have good intentions.
Yeah,
there's just there's no time for the correct communication.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, continue.
Exactly.
What's your point?
And we have the whole structure of how, I guess, his character is treated, Jon Favreau's character is treated in the restaurant, is that he is the director on a film set almost.
But the head chef is basically that.
It works. So it's a great parallel between, obviously what Jon Favreau knows as a director, what he's experienced as a creative, and what chefs sometimes experience who want to break the mold, who want to do something different, who are, passionate about throwing a curveball to the audience / diners.
Yeah.
Every night.
Yeah, there's this nice problem of there's a fancy word on the tip of my tongue. I can't even remember what it is. Anyway, but dichotomy maybe, where you make food either for the everyday goer or you make them for the critic.
Yes,
the high end diner. So which one? Where do you find yourself?
Well, this film leads our main character to discovering a third way.
Yeah.
And which is the original way that he got into being a chef to begin with, which was making food that he loved.
Yeah.
And sharing that love with people who would eat it.
I would like to point out, even earlier, any food he's making, he loves making.
Yes.
It's just fully expressing himself through that food. I think eventually, if you're in an industry, any industry, you might be passionate at the start.
Yeah.
But eventually,
well, that's what
any
gets you
job,
in the door.
Yeah.
Like it's your first foot in the kind of...
exactly.
It gets you started, gets you motivated.
It's the passion, it's the movement. But after a while, a job becomes a job. It comes to 9 till 5.
Yeah, roll with the punches.
When you're going day by day, you lose some of that drive. It just naturally happens. And you fall into comfort, satisfaction, which is dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a story about a guy who isn't satisfied with that rut. He's not satisfied with just, being the normal person that goes about his job.
He's aware of it, but he's so busy, and he's found, and because he's in this rut, he's aware of it, but he can't get out of it.
Yeah. Even though he tries to get out of it.
Yeah.
And everything is kind of stopping him as well.
Yeah.
Aside from his ex-wife and his son.
And himself.
Yeah.
Stubbornness as well. Let's not lie to ourselves.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing that I see myself in this film is he has a desire to do something, but he also wants it done the way he wants it done.
Yeah.
Not, he can't seem to look past that and just roll with it in order to get what he wants, which is something that I have struggled with.
It's hard.
So much. Like confession time, guys. I am currently going to therapy for a number of things that have been affecting me because of my past, because of my history. And it's really enlightening to find out more about yourself.
Yeah.
In ways that, that's why I feel that way. That's why I can't.
Yep.
I feel like I can't get out of this rut. And I have been in a creative rut for the last probably 2 years now, which has been tough. But because I've started to get to know myself through interactions with other people and acknowledging my faults and acknowledging the things that I did that have kind of destroyed any momentum that I had, I'm starting to get back on the right track.
And objectivity is key in a lot of these things. And also, you need to be fair with yourself. It's like, okay, I have made mistakes and I will continue to make mistakes and that's okay. And I just need to work with them.
And one of the things that really helps with that is having people around you who are honest with you. I feel like that is something that is so lost in today's world. I feel like, there's maybe one person or maybe two people at my workplace who I've worked with enough that I can be myself around.
Yeah.
And there's obviously you as well, being a close friend of mine that I feel like I can just say anything that's on my mind, and even if it's a bad thing, you can pull me up on that, or
I'll do my best,
or vice versa. And having M there as well is really helpful.
And Deborah
in this endeavor, yes, the silent ear or the silent shoulder to cry on every day after work. He's just like sitting by the door with a pad and pen and paper waiting for me to lie down.
In the movie as well.
Yes.
He has a couple of people in his kitchen.
He has a great group of friends.
And his ex-wife.
But
his relationship with his ex-wife is so...
Also, on again, off again girlfriend. Although I just think that was an excuse for Jon Favreau to say that he had a relationship with Scarlett Johansson.
We did say, while watching it, we did joke about that, but at the same time...
but it feels like a real relationship, though. Like, it doesn't feel like it's a pressure relationship. No. It doesn't feel like it's a drama point for a plot.
No, it actually feels like a natural relationship. These two people are too busy to have an actual full-on relationship. Yes. So this is their way of having a relationship with someone they know and being close to someone without, fully
no strings, in quotation marks.
Sort of a no strings relationship,
yeah. Well, it basically is. But John Leguizamo plays his best friend.
Yeah.
In this, and it's a great relationship. It's a fantastic. He throughout the film he always says, "Look, if you want to leave, I'm going to drop everything for you, man. Yeah. I'll drop everything and I'll come help you out because I don't."
And he means it.
Exactly, because later on he does. Like when John finally caves, when Carl finally caves to the idea that he should get a food truck. After all of this stuff with the critics happened, he gets a taxi shows up at the place where he's picked up the truck,
and there's his friends there.
And his friend jumps out and is like, "Hey, let's do this."
They're making the food truck in Miami, and their cafe was originally based in. Oh my goodness!
I think it was New York.
I think it's New York. Is it New York?
I think so.
Okay.
Actually, we have the
Wikipedia page open for this movie because it has a Wikipedia page that's fully developed, unlike some movies we do.
L.A., Los Angeles.
It was L.A.
Los Angeles is where he ends up. At the beginning of this movie, that's where we start, and he's moved there from Miami, which was his home, and America, I feel, is like similar to Australia. Even more so than Australia, is this melting pot of culture.
Yeah, Australia's cultural. I actually think it's more overflowing in the States. Maybe it's to do with personality of the nation as a whole. But here in Australia, our culture tends to be more insulated from the outside.
Yeah.
Like if you get into it, there's a lot there, but the bubble doesn't overflow.
Yeah, it's also like everywhere is segregated. Everywhere, like you got Chinatown, you've got like little Mexico City, you got like the French Quarter. All of this stuff organically kind of separates.
Yeah.
In cities, in big cities, like here in Australia or in Sydney, we were talking about this earlier. We have like Blacktown, we have, we have Cabramatta, we have Inner West, we have
you got
like
the hills, you got the Hornsby area,
and a lot of Asian cultures tend to find themselves in the Inner West.
Yep.
A lot of Lebanese culture tend to find out further west a little bit more. And so all of these cultures kind of divide themselves into areas where they feel their culture can kind of sit and grow from there. And we see that in Chef to almost its fullest extent.
Yeah, we see the Cuban influence in Miami.
Yes. Massive. And that's where he started. And so to see that kind of influence, it's actually really nice in a way. It's beautiful in a way. Do you remember in Crazy Rich Asians?
Yeah.
When they first land in...
Yes, that's one of my favorite scenes actually, is when they go to the market and they just buy all this food.
Yeah, and we see that Asian culture come through in the food. And this is something that both, these films, Chef and Crazy Rich Asians, have really nailed, is how food is such a huge cultural thing.
It's a community thing as well. In fact, also they go to a live music event, and one thing I found sad about live music these days is it's not a family event anymore. It's not a community. Like you go with friends, but at the same time, it's like you're not having fun. Like you just you're enjoying being part of the crowd or mosh pit if you're into heavier stuff. But if you go to a club, the music's blazing and you're dancing. But
well, it's not designed. It's at a club. I feel it's designed to put you into a trance rather than to actually get you into feeling anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it's kind of
it's about
so
losing
loud.
yourself instead of connecting to it emotionally.
Yeah, exactly. That was actually one thing that I was disappointed. One of the big things I was disappointed with Hobbs and Shaw was here. Hobbs' side of the family is Islander. They have strong Islander roots, and when we go back and meet his family, I kind of expected there to be like this huge dinner, this huge meal, because that's such something that's such a cultural
it's on the
identity.
editing floor somewhere.
Yeah, it's part of their cultural identity to have a hungi and these massive feasts and cooking like boars by the body.
I've gone to a Maori feast in New Zealand, and
same,
very similar, and they're great.
They're amazing. They're amazing. Slow cooked everything.
Yep.
Underground in these pits with coals and fire, and
it's a feast. It's like a classic feast. Like when you go and think about old ancient Vikings or that period when everyone comes to the hall and everyone's gathered and eating. That's the sort of thing they do, and it's it's beautiful. And it is community, and it's open and it's welcoming, and that's what I didn't feel from Hobbs and Shaw when we got to those cultural beats. Well, I want to say this. That was past the halfway mark in that movie.
Yes, so everything past halfway was kind of shit anyway.
It doesn't matter what happened. Any opportunities were lost in that second half of that movie. So
unfortunately.
But this movie's pace, I think we should talk about the pacing of this movie because it's
fantastic.
It's almost like a syncopated beat. It's like we have the on scene, on scene, on scene, slow scene, on scene, on scene, on scene, slow scene, on scene, on scene, on scene,
almost
slow scene.
beat for beat for beat. And we also see the evolution of his relationship with his son.
Oh, yes.
Which is amazing. I mean, I know we should have done this before, but I mean, let's talk about the cast for a second.
Yeah.
We have Jon Favreau as Carl Casper. We have MJ Anthony as his son Percy.
Yep.
John Leguizamo as his friend Martin. Sofia Vergara as Inez's ex-wife. Bobby Cannavale, who is, I find him so fantastic on screen every time I've seen him.
Yeah, he's
in
good.
The Other Guys. He's also in a TV show on HBO about record labels and stuff like that.
Was he in... Oh, he might be confusing with someone else. Someone looks similar to him in...
Spy?
No.
He was in Spy.
No.
He was the villain in Spy.
Yes. No.
He was so different in Spy, actually. I almost didn't recognize him.
No. What was the movie? The Brendan Fraser movie we watched recently.
Oh,
That's not him. It's someone else.
I don't think it is him.
But they look similar.
Yeah.
But I do think of them, both of them, as they look similar. So I relate them in my head.
And he's fantastic. I love him. Tony, he's another friend of Carl's, who becomes sous chef after he leaves the restaurant.
No, he becomes head chef.
Isn't that? Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Sorry. He's already sous chef before, and then he becomes head chef. But there's a beautiful relationship there. Like in a lesser film, you expect that relationship to become a point of drama. Yeah. Like, oh, you stole my job.
There's extra bitterness, extra this.
Yeah.
They do.
But there's none of that.
No.
There's none of that. There's like, you know what? I don't even, Carl even says it in the film. Yep. I don't like how it happened, but I'm glad it happened because you deserve this opportunity. And it's this beautiful moment between friends. And they hug it out, and it's just amazing. And then we've got Scarlett Johansson, who's only in the first half of this film, I think. Yeah, only in the first half as Molly, who's his on-again, off-again girlfriend, slash head waitress at the restaurant.
So she has which is good. So I'd like to point out, all the characters have points in terms of relationship and plot. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of important. Anyway, continue.
And Oliver Platt, who I love seeing him on screen every time I get to see him. You might remember him from X-Men First Class as the FBI agent. You also might remember him if you've seen Fargo, not the movie but the TV show. He's one of the main crime bosses or villains in the show, and he's fantastic. I love him whenever he's on screen. And in this film, he plays Ramsey Michelle. Sorry, I was about to say Michael, who is the critic that kind of is the spark that causes this derailment of Carl. And then
I think what I liked about his character is critics have it tough sometimes in movies.
Yeah, well, so many times we see like, oh, he's such a douchebag. Oh, he's such a dickhead.
They're such egotists.
Yeah, and I think the general view, especially in today's society when it comes to film critics, so many film goers hate film critics. Yeah. And they automatically, and this is insane, like film critics aren't there to ruin a film for you guys. No. We are there to kind of just give our own opinions. And if you don't like it, that's fine. Like, we're not intrinsically tied to what you guys think about a film, but our views or a critic's views of a film should not impact, like I've said this so many times, and so many people say this as well, where they're like, I don't want, like, film critics shouldn't influence your opinion, but they still are, because you see a positive review and you go, oh, this film must be good because critics hated it, or this film must be shit because critics loved it.
What
it's
critics
still
are
influencing your
critics
like,
are
it's ridiculous.
Is a social they have a social responsibility to the world, essentially, to give us a good reflection of their own thoughts on a movie. Yeah. That's all they're required to do, but that's all they have to do.
They're a journalist that deals in media. They're not a person. Like, I feel like people, both just society in general and also some critics, get so wrapped up in their own opinion. And I mean, I've done it so much where I'm like, I mean, I did it with Batman v Superman. I hated that movie.
BBS.
BS, yeah. Where we kind of just take our opinion as almost like it's, I'm better than you. And sometimes it does come off that way for critics writing it. Quite often, because I mean, they have most of them, you have to have a great command of the English language to be able to do that kind of a job. And so when they pull out all of these negative words and negative phrases, not only does it sound like, as a regular Joe, you're reading this, it feels like it's belittling you. It feels like it's talking down to you. But it's also like painting that person in a very negative light in your mind if you're like a regular Joe just reading this. And so a lot of that, I think, does play into how critics are seen.
Yeah, if they talk harsh about someone, eventually comes back to bite you, no matter what industry you're in or what your job is. Yeah. And they have to do it for a living. That's why I think critics have it rough, because they care about film.
Yes.
Like, if you are a film critic, you must care about film.
If you don't care, like, why would you bother?
Exactly. I mean, free tickets to movies, maybe, but
that's not going to sustain you.
Would you want the free tickets if you weren't caring about film anyway?
But that's the thing. Like, if you had free tickets to every single film you saw and you weren't passionate about filmmaking, what happens when you see like more bad films than good? Do you just like whatever? I don't care anymore, or like what happens then? Like, you have to have a passion for this kind of stuff. Yeah. And unfortunately, because you care and because the rest of the world doesn't. It can kind of like, it can get really draining sometimes.
Yeah. I think, and that's what I like about this critic, is he's part of the industry, So he gives him a bad review because he's giving him an honest review.
Mm-hmm.
And the outburst, well, first of all, the outburst isn't really aimed at the critic.
No, it isn't.
When he does have his outburst, the critic, what's his name? What's the critic's name? Mikhail.
Yeah.
Mikhail just
Michel.
He just sits there and takes it.
Yeah.
But I think he's aware.
Yeah.
Because later on in the final scene, second last scene, when they have the conversation again about him backing him after the food truck and making him his own restaurant, it becomes apparent like he cares a lot.
Yeah.
About him.
He cares about the food. He
Yeah.
cares about the experience. He cares about, the purpose of this. Yeah. And so that's what the main thing is about. Like so many, I don't know, so many people think it's about, oh, you just don't like Michael Bay because, he's successful and you're jealous. And well, no, I care about the sanctity and quality of filmmaking, and the reason that he does what he does is not good enough to make a movie.
Can we go on a quick aside on Michael Bay? Because we had this conversation recently.
Yes.
Michael Bay is secretly a really good filmmaker.
Yeah.
But what he wants to make is trash.
Yeah. It's like Gordon Ramsay decides, you know what? Fuck being a professional chef.
Wendy's it is.
I'm going to go work for Wendy's and I'm going to make ice cream, and that's what I want to do. Like he doesn't even want to serve ice cream. He just wants to throw it at people's faces. Yeah. Like that's Michael Bay. He's not there to make something good. He's there to make money, and he doesn't really care how he does it.
Well, he thinks it's good.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't?
No, I remember seeing a interview with him after the third Transformers film. And they sat down with him, and the reporter asked him, do you even care that your films are trite? Do you even care that your films aren't good? And he said, no, because idiots like you are going to buy tickets to watch them anyway.
Yeah.
That's what he said. So he doesn't give a shit about you, the audience. He doesn't give a shit about making quality entertainment. He only gives a shit about getting your money. And at the end of the day, that's all he wants, which is like... If you're taking into consideration that filmmaking is an art form, that's despicable. I'm sorry, but that's despicable.
Well, once again, you've got to think about, when you think about art, let's use the art thing. Not all artists just paint paintings.
No.
Some of them have to design cardboard boxes to put your shoes in.
Yep. And that is functional art. That's something that gets you from point A to point B. And I feel like...
Point B being lots of money in Michael Bay's guys.
Yes, yeah. But point B, a lot of people kind of glaze over. But I feel like that whole cardboard box analogy, the functional film idea, I think that Marvel films fits nicely into that. I feel like Disney fits nicely into that because it serves a social function. Sometimes they're not the best films, but they still serve a purpose. Yeah. Michael Bay isn't the cardboard. Like he doesn't make functional films.
No, he's heroin.
Yes. Yeah. No, he's heroin. Yeah. His films are close to being cancerous, in my opinion. I feel like, especially when it comes to the whole idea or the issue of the Me Too movement and just the fact that he uses women's bodies for the sex appeal alone without any sort of tie into plot or any sort of character development is just, I mean, he had an underage girl in his or in the script, she was underage, be in a relationship with somebody older, and the guy keeps the statutory amendment thing laminated and in his wallet. Like, come on, fuck you. That's bullshit. You're an asshole. Don't try to excuse it with a piece of fucking paper that tells you that you can have sex with an underage girl. Screw you. And that's Michael Bay in a nutshell. Like, that's if he's putting this in this film, and it wasn't even part of the plot. It was like this side bullshit thing that he was like, I'm going to throw it in there because I want to justify this, I guess. I don't want to say this, but I feel like if you are in a position to justify that, you've probably done this in the past, or at the very least, you're friends with somebody who has. And justifying that kind of bullshit has no place in this kind of a world. Like, it doesn't. I'm sorry, it doesn't.
Meanwhile, in Chef...
we went off on a tangent there.
No, I let you go. I poked the bear bit back.
And no amount of excusing it with, but people still want to watch it. No. If you want to watch it, why would you want to watch that? Why would you, like, in what world would you want to? But yeah,
you know what people do want to watch? They want to see Scarlett Johansson getting slightly aroused by cooking.
Yeah, actually, that was a fantastic scene. And it was like this, like, hinge of comedy there that was
Yeah.
like really great in her performance. And it added to her character.
It does.
Because we see why she's attracted to him, but also why she's in the industry to begin. Like she
shows the
is in
passion
this
as well,
industry
yeah.
and she's passionate about that industry.
It's an industry, I think cooking food is an industry that people get passionate about naturally because everyone loves food to some degree. If you don't love food, you're not functioning.
You're dying.
Yes. What is wrong with you?
You're dying. No, you're literally, if you don't love food, then what are you surviving on? You're dying. But yeah, I agree. I really love that scene. And it's also like it's a non-committal scene almost. Like if it was a less, I don't know how to explain this, but like
If it did it too much, it would be wrong. And if they did it too little, it wouldn't show the full passion and the amount that food brings them together.
It was even keeled. And I feel like every scene in this film is like that, where it has this even mix of drama and comedy without becoming silly.
Yeah.
Without becoming over the top, without becoming stupid.
I mean, this movie has Sofia Vergara as the ex-wife. And
I swear, Jon Favreau was just like, I'm going to have these two hot chicks in this movie who both want me.
no, but at the same time, Sofia Vergara is an actress who does easily go past that level very easily of, okay, she's over the top,
We have it in a scene, like she calls him and asks about like how's the boy going, like how are you guys going and all this other stuff. And we have Leguizamo in the background like mimicking her, like, oh, where's my son? I love him. And it's just fantastic. It's so funny.
This is the best I've seen Leguizamo as well.
Yeah, Leguizamo has he's had an on again, off again career, I feel.
Yeah. He's been in some trash.
Fantastic. Oh, yeah, he's been in terrible stuff.
Yeah.
But he's also been in fantastic stuff like this.
Yeah.
And I feel like he is, a lot of people kind of don't, I don't know, he's got a weird relationship with audiences. Like sometimes you either love him or you hate him. And for those of you who have not seen a film that he's in or don't recognize him, he is in Romeo plus Juliet. And he's also in Ice Age as Sid, the sloth. Where he kind of overdoes his voice a little bit and his accent.
I liked him in the first Ice Age.
The first Ice Age.
I got over them in the second one. I know other people liked them still.
First Ice Age, everything after that, nah.
I mean, I think it has scenes that are okay, but as a movies, they're
no, they quickly turned into producer fodder, which is kind of what this film is talking about in a way. Like it is talking about the film landscape. Because we have Dustin Hoffman as Reva, the restaurant owner, and he comes in and he's a really nice guy, but at the end of the day, he needs to make money.
Yeah.
He needs to make money because he paid for all of this. He paid for the napkins. He paid for the glasses. He paid for, everyone's salary. And that's what a producer is on a film set. He is paying everybody. So if he doesn't agree with the direction the film is going, then he's not going to be happy.
It's easy to make the producer a villain in these scenes. And he does everything. It's written so he's not.
Yeah.
It's written that the communication is really what's going on here. There's no time. That's what they needed to sit down. Like if Favreau had time,
if Carl had time.
Carl Casper had time to go and sit the producer down, feed him all the things he tried out with his side chefs earlier. Side chef. Is that the one? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Sous chef and
yeah.
Assistant chef.
Head chef. I think he's assistant head chef is what he was. But anyway, if he'd had time to sit down and try everything, he'd be like, yes, let's do this.
Yeah.
But there was no time.
No, because it's literally happening that night.
So Twitter, we should talk about Twitter.
Oh, yeah. Also, like the gender gap when it comes to understanding technology.
You mean age gap?
The age gap. Well, yeah, sorry. I was caught up on gender politics earlier, so I'm still getting that out of my mind. But yeah, like the fact that Casper doesn't understand Twitter and his son does, and his son's trying to walk him through it. And there's so many misconceptions about social media. Like, for instance, when something pops up on Twitter, he thinks it's a private message, but really it's not. But he replies to it and he hits send and he's like, yeah, no, I sent a private message to him telling him what I think and, saying like he's a, idiot and all this other stuff. But really it was public and sent to everyone.
That's one of the reasons I have a Twitter somewhere, but I've never used it.
It's because you're unsure about how it works.
No. Maybe. But no, it's because I don't want anything I say to be public in that domain for the very reason when Jon Favreau posts that for what happens afterwards. I don't want to say anything that can be taken out of context, and in tweets that happens a lot, sometimes deliberately. Hashtag Donald Trump.
Hashtag James Gunn.
Oh yeah, that
9-10 years ago.
Yeah.
No, I think it was more than that. It was like 12. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
But
you know what we're talking about. You know what we're talking about, public.
It is scary. But also, like, I feel like we're getting to a point where social media is inevitable.
Inevitable.
I feel like because let's face it, like most companies hire people based upon their social media presence a lot of the time. Especially when it comes to
certain industries do, yes.
Social industries, a lot of social industries. So you got the you got film, for instance, TV, journalism, modeling, advertisement, marketing, all those things. Like that's a huge chunk of
PR.
PR. That's a huge chunk of the remaining jobs list that is immediately taken off if you can't have a good social media presence, which is like, I feel like maybe 10 years ago, it wouldn't be such a big chunk. But now, because of technology, because we have computers running a lot of different things, a lot of job opportunities have been taken away from people. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a lot of people have to kind of switch gears and then do something different.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do that without social media. It's hard to do that without understanding how to use it. And I think that's the biggest misconception, because the use of it and how you can use it and what's appropriate to use it for changes on a regular basis. And if you're unsure,
and there
about
are no
that sound,
rules or regulations to dictate it.
Yes. Well, they're working on it, but it's very hard to gauge. And if you're wondering about that sound, that is actually rain outside.
Yes.
Just smashing into the window.
Yeah, it's raining on a parade, but
it's raining quite a lot. But we follow these characters as they go. Like they've picked up this truck, and as we go through America, we go through several cities.
Yeah, we go through
with a lot of culture.
Yes,
a lot of culture,
and they take advantage of it, which is brilliantly done as well. So, for example, they go to where did they get the beacon? I've forgotten already. But they go to Texas and they get the barbecued.
It's like a 13-hour char grilled rump steak, and he buys 4 of these big juicy steaks. And like I'm like almost a full-time vegetarian.
Yeah.
Like I think out of my whole life, I'm pretty sure 98% of my life I've eaten vegetarian food. And I was just salivating at the idea of tearing into a steak that has been cooked over 13 hours.
I think I told you earlier, I went to the pub a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
And we went to eat in, and my friend, he ordered a steak, medium rare, and this massive piece of meat. I just had fish and chips. So I eat fish now and then. And
you're pescatarian?
Ovo pescatarian, yes.
Not a Episcopal, which is another Episcopal. Which is a church.
Yeah. Yes, well done.
Sometimes I get those confused in my head. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. But yeah, they go through these different places. They go to New Orleans as well.
That's it, New Orleans. I love the kid.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about the kid much, but the kid's fantastic because he doesn't overact.
Yeah. MJ Anthony, there are some scenes where they're cooking in the kitchen, and what it feels like, and I can definitely see this happening, is Leguizamo and Favreau are bouncing between each other. And they're letting the kid just exist in the world of being like an assistant.
He's there
chef.
to react.
And what they do is they just allow the kid to work, like just be there in the environment doing things. And they're allowing him to bounce off them. So they'll ask him questions like, how you going? You doing well? You like cooking this and doing that? And so they're bouncing off each other. And there's like a little scene where he's like, ow, I think I burnt my finger. And I feel like that was completely ad-libbed. By that I mean he actually did kind of burn his finger a little bit on the thing. And what Favreau says to him is like, do you want to stop or do you want to keep going? And the kid's like, no, I want to keep going. And then they just keep going. So it's that, because he's the director.
Yeah.
So I feel like in that moment, he as the director was like, oh crap, the kid's hurt himself. Do you want to stop filming or do you want to keep going? And the kid goes, I want to keep going. So he's got the self-awareness to be able to direct this kid while he's performing, which is something that I feel like you really need to have a firm grasp of before you even try it when the cameras are rolling.
The other scene that is probably most likely an ad-lib is they're singing sexual feeling in the car.
Yeah, sexual healing.
Sexual healing on the truck.
But it's a jazz New Orleans style one version of it, and they're like him and Leguizamo were singing it, and the kids just like looking at them like, oh my gosh.
Then he face palms, and then he's just smiling.
He's so embarrassed by it. But it definitely feels like it's one of those things that they just like chucked on the song, and they're in the car and they're filming and they just started singing. They just filmed the reactions of what was going on.
And what's great is, so we should talk about this, the kid and the son. At the start of the film, there's a quick montage scene of their going out and coming back again. Which is just to highlight their relationship because of the separation and marriage and all this. Is he does things with his son and then he goes back to work.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like his relationship with his son is a bit of a chore.
Yes.
Really. Like he doesn't really want to, like he loves his kid. Don't misread that.
No, not at all.
But his life is his work.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, he sees any time with his son as lost time for work. You know what I mean? Like, and there's moments where the kid is like trying to meet him halfway.
And he wants to go with him to get the food and do this and do that.
Yeah. And he wants to like do things that his dad wants to do with him. So he says like, I can come with you to, pick up ingredients. And dad's like, oh, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure if like, and then later on he asks him if he can come by the restaurant and stay at the restaurant and watch him work. And he's like, no, because there's a lot of hot things and there's sharp objects and I don't want you to get in the way. It's
actually the
hurt.
Twitter scene when he's introducing him to Twitter where he's like, hang on, the son's like, I'd like doing stuff with you. He's like, you do stuff with me all the time. You go to the movies and stuff. He's like, yeah, but we don't really do stuff together. And that's sort of how it is.
Yeah. It's like my relationship with my wife, actually, because like we do go out. We do, go to the movies sometimes together or like go to a nice eatery for brunch or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But one of my favorite moments with her is just when we're out shopping or when we're just chilling on the couch.
Going for a walk.
Or going for a walk with Devereaux or anything like that, because, I don't know, it just feels like we're existing in life and doing life together rather than just existing for a
purpose of doing several different activities.
Yeah, like doing an occasion or like the purpose of going to the film, going to the movies or going to the restaurant. And I love those moments. I enjoy those moments the most.
Yeah, I would too.
One day, Scotty.
Yeah.
One day.
This is Jordan just,
I'm sorry. I'm just
putting the dagger into me.
I'm very grateful to be in a loving relationship.
Now let's spend another half an hour talking about why it's so great.
And I'm sure you're grateful to be living in a house with 3 other men.
Wow.
As a bachelor. In a bachelor house. No, I can appreciate bachelor life. I remember bachelor life. And
it has some positives.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for the people I do live with as opposed to other people I've lived with in the past. I lived in share houses where no one talked to anyone and stuff like
preach.
that.
Preach.
Yeah.
No, I've lived in one share house before, and I'm kind of glad I didn't keep doing it.
Your shared house did have a sense of family.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good.
Yeah.
When we moved in, I actually said, look, I want to make a thing that every weekend we have at least like one day a week, maybe on a weekend, where we cook for each other and have like a community meal.
Yeah.
And that was nice. I mean, it only lasted for maybe a month, but still,
it was nice when it
was good.
We do that occasionally. I kind of cook with my housemates now and then. Food, once again, community. It's great.
Yeah. That's one thing this film nails.
Yes.
Like community and food. Also culture and food.
Yeah.
Food is a huge part of the human experience.
Yeah.
Massive part. Like, I mean, there's that whole thing of like the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. And I feel like that's the case with almost everyone really. Like my M loves to cook almost as a cathartic thing.
Oh, it is. It's massively cathartic.
Yeah, I love it too. So I feel like everyone can get something out of cooking.
Mm-hmm.
There's not one person, I think, that can say, even if they're shit at cooking, that they don't like, at the very least, eating something that's been homemade.
Can I make you really jealous right now?
Go for it.
I work in a job where I get to make paninis every day.
You bastard.
And I get to see people eating them, and they come over and tell me how much they enjoy it.
Oh, man. I wish I was working, because I work in the food industry as well.
Yes, I know. That's why I'm saying I'm making you jealous.
Yeah.
Specifically you.
Specifically me. I work in the food industry on the opposite side, so mass-produced stuff. we don't get a lot of, like, we don't see a lot of feedback from the people who eat our food. We hear about it every month in a team meeting, but that's not really the same. Like, it's not the same as actually serving somebody, having them come over and say, wow, that was really good. Thank you so much for giving me something. And it's really nice. I wish I was kind of working in that kind of a job.
Yeah. I went looking for we won't name your industry, your factory's name.
Yeah, good.
I went looking for their products and couldn't even find them twice.
Yeah, wow. In Woolies and Coles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'm not going to say, there's a lot I could say, but I'm not going to say.
Yeah, there are other versions of the same products that they make that I do eat and enjoy a lot. And I can never tell you if yours are better than theirs because I can't find yours. So
that sucks. That really sucks.
But if you know
good
a product,
feedback though.
but exactly. But if you find a product that
Yeah.
you know, and that's what he manages to find, is Cuban sandwiches.
Yeah,
Cuban
especially in
sandwiches.
Australia. Especially in
I
Australia.
mean, they probably would love a Cuban sandwich.
I would love just the way that food is made in this film.
Once again, this is food porn. They are the way they fry the oil on the pan.
If
the
you
butter.
are a fan of Miyazaki films, they do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like it's like a Japanese animation company who work very closely with Disney, and they make family films. But they use every single film has food in it.
Yeah.
In some capacity, there is food, and the way the characters enjoy the food, the way the food looks on that.
I'm also thinking of the
as
sushi
animated
scene
thing.
in Isle of Dogs as well, which I'm sure is a throw to Miyazaki stuff.
Oh, that's beautiful. Like the way it's prepared, cut up, all that other stuff. It's just, it's amazing. I saw a behind the scenes video of that, and it looks like the technical aspect, because it was filmed in the frame rate that it was animated in.
Oh, really?
So you see the people come in and like really quickly just make small movements and adjustments and stuff. Oh my goodness, it's so good. But like, I was thinking of Spirited Away.
Yes.
Like there's the opening, one of the first scenes in this film is when her parents stumble into this carnival and they smell this food and they find this food. Oh, it's beautiful food. It is delicious, delectable, but it's also like evil food. I'm not going to spoil the film for anybody.
It's a good movie.
It's a fantastic film. It's probably, I think, in my opinion, after watching it and Howl's Moving Castle and a bunch of other Miyazaki films.
Princess Mononoke is my favorite.
Yes. Yeah. Princess Mononoke and Spirited Away, they are my two favorite Miyazaki films. I love both of them.
Okay.
Everything else kind of falls a little bit short. But yeah, those two films are amazing. But food in general, I feel in film, I feel like people are afraid to show it almost. Like there was a film.
No, they take it for granted. I think that's it.
Yeah.
They take it for granted. It can be there and it's food. Whereas when you go the extra mile of making food.
Yeah.
I've got a sexy voice, food.
What was it? There's two films out there that I think they came out almost around the same time as Chef, and they dealt with food as well. One starred Aaron Eckhart,
I know.
And another one starred Voice of Rocket. Damn it.
Yes.
Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper, yeah. Sorry, I had a...
But that's the thing. Those films weren't actually about... They were focusing on relationships.
They were focusing on the drama. They were focusing on the drama.
Romance.
Not necessarily the relationships. They were just focusing on the drama. This focuses on almost just real people, real conversations, and the drama ensues naturally because of that.
It's the passion. This film is secretly about passion and following up in your own life.
Yeah, there is a great scene where the Twitter thing becomes apparent, where he's just made this menu that he's wanted to make, this very creative, very off the wall selection of dishes, and he's made them in his spare time.
This and that.
Yeah, he's made them in his spare time, and then his assistant chefs come in, and he goes, "Guys, check this out! Like, taste this." And the first one's like, "Oh man, I'm so glad you're in here making stuff because I was really worried." Like, but you know what? Fuck Twitter.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Wait, what do you mean fuck? What do you mean fuck Twitter?" And the guy's like, "Oh, this is so delicious," and it becomes about the dish again. And so he kind of forgets about Twitter. And then the second guy comes in and he's like, "Hey man, what does that smell? That's amazing." And they start talking about food again. And he's like, "Oh man, I was really worried, but you know what? Fuck Twitter." And he's like, again, what the fuck? What's going on with the Twitter? Like, what's happening with Twitter?
Also, we should point out, he's having like 3 conversations at once.
Yes.
And this happens a lot in this movie, and it's really well done.
This in my opinion, is my comedy. I love it when there's two conversations going at once.
Yes.
Also, by the way, Robert Downey Jr. is in this film. He makes
scene.
one scene cameo thing. It's fantastic. He plays this rich the ex-husband of Favreau's ex-wife.
Yeah.
So the guy that married her before he did.
Yeah.
And he is like he's a bit of a perfectionist. So like he has people wear these plastic slippers over their shoes. It's kind of like a hairnet.
It's hilarious. It's a naturally funny scene.
It's a naturally funny scene. But he's also like, because I feel like they're friends, so they've had interactions before. And this is the beautiful thing about this. No matter what anybody else has done to anybody else in this film, there's almost this amicability about it where, this happened, but I don't care.
Life's too short.
Life's too short to worry about those things.
I think it doesn't just say there's no issues here.
No, and there's underlying issues.
There's the scene with him and the Sofia Vergara later on, his ex-wife, when they're talking about, did you sleep with him? That whole scene is hilarious.
It's great. I love it because she brings up like, well, what about your little waitress friend? Like, what's going on there kind of thing. And it's like, that's completely different. Like, I haven't had a history with her before this point in time. And it's just great. Like the interactions between every single character plays to their strengths. I think that's another important thing. Even the casting choice for this, it's not just the dialogue. The dialogue is fantastic.
Yeah.
The dialogue is A+ great, but also the casting as well.
Yeah.
The people that he has chosen to do this, like Sofia Vergara is obviously someone with Hispanic of Hispanic
really?
descent.
Who'd have thought it?
If you didn't pick that up by now, I feel really bad for you. That's really bad.
I actually think this is the best she is in anything as well.
Yes, I 100% agree. Modern Family has its moments, but I am not the biggest fan of that show. Not because it's not good. I just feel like the comedy, it's a hit and miss for me sometimes.
I don't find it funny. So,
which is fair. Like it's funny. That's what I'm saying. Like hit and miss. There's moments where I find like that's hilarious, and then there's a lot more moments that I'm like, it's average. Sorry for those who are fans of the show. I have no problem with anyone being fans.
I think
of the
most
show.
people have your opinion.
But I think any other film that I've seen her in was that stupid one with Sandra Bullock where they're cops or she's a cop.
Oh, is she in that Bounty Hunter movie as well?
Yeah, she's in a Bounty Hunter movie. She's with Reese Witherspoon. Yeah. A lot of her films that have been released.
She's a bit actress, unfortunately. I think she's sort of been
and
she's making a career out of it. So
I feel like though these are the kinds of roles she's perfect in. Yeah. The kind of it's comedy. It's almost pure comedy that she is there, but there's also like elements of underlying drama. Of the genre drama that really, really work.
That I'd like to point that out. What I love about this movie in particular is it's funny, but not because it's set out like it probably is setting out to be funny, but the comedy comes from the scenes. It comes from the drama.
It naturally happens. It's not something that is like, let's take Hobbs and Shaw for instance.
Here we go again.
Well, I mean, it is legitimate. Like the whole thing where they meet for the first time and it's like, no fucking way. And then it's like, your voice reminds me of like dragging my balls across broken glass. It hurts. And like that line was specifically written to try and elicit a laugh. Like it wasn't written for character development. It wasn't written for plot development.
No, it was specifically written to drag your balls across.
Yeah. Whereas the difference between that and this film is it's not trying to force you to laugh. It's not trying to punch you in the face with something's funny. It's trying to introduce you to real characters that you identify with. And then if you feel like laughing, it gives you an opportunity to do so. It's not like I don't know, what would you call it? It's not canned laughter where I feel like Hobbs and Shaw is 100% like if you had a laugh track to that. It's
situational comedy.
If you had a laugh track to Hobbs and Shaw, I guarantee you I probably would have laughed more. I'm not joking because I grew up with MASH. I grew up with Hogan's Heroes.
I grew up with a bunch of sitcoms from the UK as well.
And you know what? Like when there's a laugh track with good comedy, it kind of conditions you to laugh with a laugh track regardless. And that's what I feel like Big Bang Theory is really capitalized on, because it's not really funny. If you took the laugh track out of that TV show, you wouldn't laugh. I guarantee you, I would love to find someone who would actually laugh at that.
So we, one of my housemates they've needed a dumb comedy, so they put that on recently. And
why would they need dumb comedy?
There is a season that has 3 episodes that are actually funny.
Okay.
I'd like to point that out. Season 4, is it? It's when they introduce what's her face, the female version of Sheldon. There's a couple
episodes. Blonde?
No, the female version of Sheldon.
Oh, Amy.
Yeah. There are several there are several episodes involving her that are actually funny. And
she is really, really intelligent.
Yeah, she is. But the one of the scenes I can think of
outside of the show.
The reason I'm bringing this up is because it's so rare. Okay, anyway, there's a scene in Big Bang Theory where Sheldon and her go to this guy who's brought out a video that's about to introducing physics. It's physics for stupid people, and they literally go because it's funny for them.
Okay.
He's talking about his book to normal people, and they find that funny. And their conversation about it during that is actually funny.
Oh, there you go.
Because it's not, unlike other things in the show, it's not, hey, insert pop culture reference here.
Yeah, because that's pretty much what...
Oh, no, that's 90% of the jokes. Yeah.
It's like, so stupid. Oh, but that's not the case with this film. No. I feel like this movie, I would struggle to find anything that anyone would hate about it.
No, my mom is a stricter vegetarian than both of us, far stricter. And she would... I'm pretty certain I've talked to her about it, and she thought it looked good. She didn't care about the meat being cooked. So I was like, that's why. What apart from that can you dislike about the movie?
Well, that's it. Because even if you didn't, even if you were a strict vegetarian, you hated this film because it was like, oh, it's talking about the beauty of eating meat and all this other stuff. The film's purpose isn't about meat.
Yeah,
it's about family. It's about culture, and it's about
if there's one niggling doubt I have about the movie, it's like I could watch another half an hour on this movie, which is not many movies say that.
Which you can, because Jon Favreau and Netflix have teamed up to make a television show, and they focus on it's like a reality cooking show, but it's just about them making dishes from the film. And showing you how to do.
And I have watched it, and it's really good. I actually really enjoyed watching that.
Yeah. It's great. So if you want to... Chef is on Netflix as well here in Australia. I'm not sure about the US.
I'm sure it'll be somewhere. If it's not Netflix, it'll be on...
Or you could just buy it on Blu-ray because...
Why not?
Exactly. It's one thing that I would highly recommend to have in your collection. But yeah, I can't find anyone that would hate this film.
I'm glad we watched it today. I just thought of it randomly.
I was actually thinking about it yesterday.
That's hilarious.
Em and I were at JB Hi-Fi and we were looking through all the Blu-rays and stuff because I build a physical collection. I just like it. I like having the physical
of course.
thing in hand.
I used to be like that with CDs.
Yeah. You used to be? You're not anymore?
I can't find... they're my parents' place, and I don't want to,
I feel like if I was going to collect music, it would be on vinyl. I feel like I'm that kind of obnoxious prick that I would just buy vinyl.
Literally, when vinyl started coming out, and it's sort of becoming a big thing like 3 years ago now.
Yeah, probably more, but yeah.
I was like, okay, I would get into it if I had the money at the time.
Well, it's cheaper now. I remember seeing a vinyl, a record player for about, I don't know, like 120.
That's normal price for them.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Well, before that, I remember seeing them going for like 300, 400, 500
So if you want to get a converter, and you still can, they're about $300, $400.
Yeah. But a lot of these vinyls, they actually come with a USB in and out. So you can just hook it up to your computer and you can actually record the sound of what's going on the vinyl straight into your
Also, a lot of hobby stores, I don't know if they still do it, they do the whole, if you buy vinyl, you can bring them the vinyl to them and they'll get the wall piece for you.
Yeah.
Make the wall piece for you and just set it up, which is really cool.
Yeah. That's nice.
Now
I want to do it now.
Do you know the first CD I bought for myself with my own money is?
What?
Abbey Road by the Beatles.
Oh, of course it was.
Yeah.
Why did I even ask? I knew this. I feel like you bring it up into random conversation. Like I'm there going like, I want a sandwich. And Scotty's like, did you know the first thing I ever bought was the Beatles? I'm like, that's great, Scotty. That's fantastic.
I think the first thing I ever probably bought was a chocolate bar, but...
You know what I mean? Also, this film will make you hungry. Just for
we went out and had good food.
We went to this nice little cafe at
Cosmo
at the local establishment.
Yes,
and it's Cosmo at Tuggerah Westfield.
I had brioche French toast, and it was very good.
I had a veggie burger, which was also very good.
I also had an affogato.
What I really wanted, was one of those Cuban cheese toasties.
Yes.
Three.
That's why I got the French toast. That's the closest thing that was
8 pieces of cheese.
Yeah.
Melted on a hot plate.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like a sandwich press. It was just a hot plate.
Did you notice they used different bread several times as well?
And sorry?
They used different bread several times for the same thing. So they had sourdough, they had normal bread, they had panini, they had baguettes. I think it wasn't normal baguettes, soft baguettes. Anyway.
Yeah. For the one in the food truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. And also, like, something else that struck me was just how beautiful it was to watch
the food being cooked.
The food being cooked and chopped and stuff like that. Like,
it was deliberately filmed to show the passion and the elegance of the industry.
The best parts of why you would love to work as a chef. Yeah. Like, honestly, if I was shown this like 15, 20 years ago, if Chef came out 15, 20 years ago, I might be enticed to actually become a chef.
Yeah.
Because it looks so fun. It looks so good. And it just looks amazing. Like, the stuff you make is just incredible.
Well, so I think it came out 2014. It's coming out straight after the peak of the MasterChef, My Kitchen Rules, all those shows peaks. I think there's been a downshift since then. But at that time, I think it was at its peak. So people liked to talk about, watch shows about food.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. So yeah, guys, definitely go watch this movie because it's fantastic. What would you give it? Like, if you
I think it's an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10?
Yeah.
Just on sheer enjoyment and rewatchability, I give it a 9.
You know, I was having this conversation with my brother. He rates movies almost entirely on rewatchability.
Which is fair.
It is fair.
To an extent.
Yeah.
To an extent.
Like, there are movies that are great.
Yes.
I don't really want to rewatch them or rewatch them very regularly.
Yeah. Like, there's some films that I'm like, that has left a lasting impression. I don't need to watch. Like, for me, Blade Runner 2049. Is it 2249?
2049. Yeah.
2049. That is a film that I have a lot of those images and story beats etched into my brain.
It's a very vivid movie.
It's an extremely vivid movie.
Denis Villeneuve, he knows how to make films.
Exactly. And that, for me, is one of the reasons why I don't feel the need to watch it again. Not because it's a bad film.
I watched it twice at the cinema. And the second time, well, what am I trying to say? It was good both times. Yes. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel that because of how vivid it was in my head, in my imagination, it's one of those films that I'll probably watch maybe once every 5 or 6 years, maybe. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But it's a very good film. It's a very well-made film. And it's great. It's fantastic.
I think it's a good pick-me-up film as well. Feel-good movies are hard to do really well. I think
we're talking about Chef, right? Not Blade Runner.
We're talking about both of them.
Oh, okay.
No, Blade Runner is sort of a feel-good movie. No,
Blade Runner is a thinking film.
Yeah, it's a thinking film.
Blade Runner is a thinking film. But it's in the same company as Inception.
Yes.
Or even
actually, Inception.
Dark Knight.
Yeah, maybe.
Dark Knight.
I actually Dark Knight more. Maybe I think Inception has, out of all, maybe the most rewatchability of all of Nolan's movies.
Yeah, I would agree. It's also I know this sounds weird, but I feel like it's also less cerebral.
Yeah,
out of all of his films.
I think that's actually true. Even though like it has issues involved, the issues
it doesn't have any issues. I just
I mean not issues. Thought-provoking moments. But they're obviously thought-provoking moments, as opposed to stuff like The Prestige, where it's like there's far more layers there to dive into.
Yeah, exactly.
Go watch The Prestige. That's a good movie.
Yeah,
it gets better every time you watch it too.
It's fantastic. I love it. It's so good.
Nolan stuff is good.
Nolan in general, I haven't seen a bad film from him.
I've seen Interstellar's a bit average.
No, I disagree. I like it.
Okay.
I thoroughly. That's another film that I thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think it's average because it's a Nolan movie. Like, if anyone else made it,
as a Nolan film.
Yeah.
Okay.
If anyone else made Interstellar, it would be better on their filmography.
I actually think out of all of Nolan's films, Batman Begins is not Batman. The third Batman film, Dark Knight Rises, is probably my least enjoyable film of his. Overall,
there are moments of that I just love, though.
Oh yeah, no, don't get me wrong. Like what
a beautiful voice.
The first half of that film, the scene where we have at the stadium where he comes out and he's like announcing everything and he kills the guy, or when they're underground, they're having the fight with him and Batman, or even him climbing out of the pit. Like these scenes are iconic, but I feel like that the last 20 minutes of Dark Knight Rises is not the best it could have been.
It reminded me, and I think it was deliberately aimed to remind me of classic 50s mega movies.
Yeah.
I think The Dark Knight as well took inspiration from them, but this one,
It reminded me of the old Bond films, actually.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the old Bond films ended similarly. Like Casino Royale ended in a similar way as well. But I feel like Apple, and this isn't saying that it's a bad film by any means, but I feel like in the scope and scale of Christopher Nolan films, I feel like The Dark Knight Rises is probably to date his lesser film compared to the rest of them.
I think I would rather watch it than Interstellar again, but that's maybe because I'm a Batman fan as well. I don't know.
I'm a Batman fan, but I would rather watch. I actually can't say which one I'd rather watch at this point.
Okay, that's the other thing. It's close, but
it's very close.
One thing I would like to point out as well with rewatchability, though, it depends the mood you're in. Like other movies, certain movies like Chef. Today we felt like watching Chef. This week we felt like watching Chef, and I think that's because of the mood we're in. Yeah, like, it's our frame of mind. So,
well, I'm in probably the best mood I've been in for quite a while.
That's good,
and I'm talking about years here. So, watching a film that makes me feel happy and feel good, and reinforcing a lot of strong ideals like family, like community, like culture. A lot of that is comforting to me in this point in time. Like, whereas maybe 3 weeks ago, because I was feeling quite down, I would maybe, we watched a lot of horror films. And so because of that, I feel like, it is something that you've got to be in the mood for. Film is not something that you just waltz in, buy a ticket, sit down and watch whatever.
It's funny that you said you watched horror movies when you were in a bad mood, because I have almost the same, I have the almost opposite thing. I have to be in a really good mood to watch a horror movie.
Okay.
Because if I'm really down and watch a horror movie, I just feel just like, God, crap.
I'm more like inquisitive when it comes to horror films. Like I like, I don't know. It's almost like a completely separate mood entirely from like just a happy, sad, depressed, whatever.
Yeah.
It's more like, oh, I want to see something happen. You know what I mean? Like I want to bask in the mystery of something like this, which is why I'm unashamedly a big fan of Scooby-Doo. If I could have gotten a Great Dane as a pet dog, I would have.
So,
sorry, Devereaux.
Do you love
you, buddy, but
the Linda Cardellini? Okay, he's shaking his head. He looks disgusted. There's vomit in his mouth.
Linda Cardellini is really attractive. Don't get me wrong. The most attractive Velma I've ever seen,
and she was probably the best part of the movie. Actually,
and she was honestly, she really was. But those films are severely dumbed down, and I'm not blaming the writers or anything. It feels like there was a good script there at some point, but a lot of what happens in those films is just really basic and just, like it's dumbed down.
Also, the CG hasn't aged well either.
Oof, no, it has not. No, it has not. I am living for the day that we see a good Scooby-Doo live action film, because I believe it can be done. I believe it can be done, and we don't need to make it realistically scary. You know what I mean? Like the monsters don't have to be real. Just lean into that whole, the villain was this man behind a mask the whole time. Lean into it. Don't fucking just edge back. Like
commit
to these tropes that this TV show has created. And then like you can make character choices that are off the wall and nobody's going to care because you've committed to the function of this show. And I would, as someone who is creative, I would love to write that script.
At the same time, though, the Men of Scooby-Doo movies that continue to come out, animated ones, like, why do you need the live action one?
Well, first of all, the animated ones are not great.
Some of them I've heard are actually pretty good, but
there was one in particular called, I think it's The Curse of Pirate Island.
Okay.
This was back in the 90s.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Fantastic film.
Yeah.
Honestly, the best Scooby-Doo has ever been, and looked as well. The animation was just, so good.
Yep.
And the story was great as well. It was about these people. It was actually based on a real an actual film. I think we talked about this a couple of episodes ago on the 42 podcast, where we talked about the older films. But the
go check out that podcast, by the way.
Curse of
Really
the
good
Cat,
one.
Curse of the Cat People, 1940 something, 42 or 43. And it was based on that film. And so we had these people who were cat people, and they're the villains, and they're luring people to the island to kill them and feast on them. And there's also Ghosts on the Island from Pirates years and years and years ago, which is also borrowing from the most recent John Carpenter film that we watched, The Fog, where these pirates were coming back to haunt the place because people had killed them. And it was fantastic. It's such a good film. Like, honestly, go watch Scooby-Doo, the Curse of Pirate Island. I think it's Curse of Pirate, or it's just Pirate Island, something like that. No.
But I think my point was, is like, why do you need to make something live action when you do it fantastically animated?
I don't think you need to. I think it's entirely up to how you, the writer / director, would like it to be interpreted.
You know what I really liked, and I kind of wish they did a sequel to?
What?
Tintin.
Well, they are. No, they're still
planning it. They're still planning it.
Planning
it for the last decade now.
Oh yeah, it's been a while. I love adventure films. Like, I'm a sucker. If you're gonna ask me which kind of genre I would like to see revived, if like we canceled Hollywood right now and there were no other films being made, and then we reinvigorated Hollywood, the first genre I would like to see come back would be adventure films. They're classic.
They are.
You can't, like, even the bad ones aren't terrible.
You know what's funny is, like, a lot of people,
they're just fun.
As kids, had the comics they grew up with, and I did have some X-Men, but the main ones I had Beano as well, were the French comics. So Asterix and Obelix, Tintin. I think that was basically
Tintin's Belgian, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't care. Neither does France. Neither does Germany. They all just claim Belgium.
But yeah, no,
Belgium. I love Belgium.
I grew up with Tintin. Tintin was one of my favorite reads as a kid. So was Asterix and Obelix. There's actually a new Asterix and Obelix film out, and apparently it's really good. So I don't know, might check that out.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up. Let's go to a little bit of a break. I mean, we've talked about everything we need to talk about. I feel like Chef, go see it. It's on Netflix.
Remember,
right now.
you will be hungry. Prepare food.
Yes, prepare food for afterwards and make it the most fatty, delicious, beautiful meal you have ever done.
And it can be healthy as well. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, you can be healthy as well
And fatty.
Yeah, and whatever you want. But yeah, so yeah, we'll go to break and we'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Thank you for listening to our podcast on 2014's Chef.
Yes.
By Jon Favreau. It's a fantastic film. And like I said, probably like 20 seconds ago, please go see it. It's great.
Yes, we've only got hungrier in that small gap.
We did go out and have something delicious to eat, but yeah, it's a fantastic movie. Scotty, what kind of trivia do you have? Do you have trivia for us?
I do have trivia.
Oh, he has trivia for us.
I have trivia.
Well.
This human being.
Yes.
There's a hint. It's a human being.
It is a human. Wow.
Began acting in the late 1980s, appearing in minor TV roles before attaining wider recognition with a 1996 comedy drama film called something involving batting, perhaps. Who knows? This person is 6'5", pretty tall.
Wow.
And only 49 years old. Who is it?
Currently only 49 years old. Interesting. Very interesting. There we go. Guys,
this person is also a way better actor than I think he gets a lot of credit for.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Mm-hmm. That's great.
Wow, sarcasm much?
Well, that's the story of every actor's life, though, isn't it? Like,
maybe.
They're always way better than they give them credit for.
Probably, yeah.
Guys, if you know the answer, keep it to yourselves. We don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear any feedback whatsoever.
At Jordan.
But please, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, even though it's been a little dead recently. I apologize for that.
Do you have a Twitter account?
I do have a Twitter account, so does the podcast. If you want to follow us there, you will get updates whenever an episode is up, actually.
Oh, good
posted
to know.
straight to Twitter.
Maybe I should join Twitter.
Maybe you should.
Yeah.
Maybe you should. But yeah, so until then, guys, we hope you have a fantastic week. Hope you have a fantastic year. Hope you have a fantastic life. And remember, keep cooking.
Just keep cooking.
I've been Jordan.
I will remain a hungry Scotty.
See you guys.
Bye.